From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Well, good morning, folks. How you doing? Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. We've got a big show today. A lot of things to talk about from risk, impact, and mitigation perspective. For all of those tuning in, welcome to today's show, and good morning to LinkedIn user with a awesome party emoji. Thank you for tuning in. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We do this every Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Matt Lee joining us. Good morning, good sir. And on time today, yes, sir. Thank you for being there. Good morning to Roger. Great seeing you last night, Roger. And thank you for the invite to speak in front of the group yesterday as well. I'll give you a shout out too. So welcome. We've got a lot to talk about today. From Apple hurrying up to patch Safari bugs that are under active attack, Microsoft with two announcements that are bound to make you cringe just a little bit because it's going to go there. We're also going to talk about China today and a new report about Pulse Secure in China. So we'll get to that as well. Good morning to Aragani. Good morning to Solomon. Thank you so much all for tuning in this morning. Good morning to all of you guys here. So if you have not subscribed, make sure to go now and follow the CyberHub podcast page on LinkedIn. Go to subscribe to our YouTube channel at CyberHub Podcast and find us on your favorite podcast listening platform. We've got three distinct podcasts on the podcast platforms: CyberHub Podcast, CISO Talk, and Goodbye Privacy. You can go and subscribe to all three and you get all of our content. I think I post the most content at this point. I'm not sure. I don't want to just randomly say that without someone actually checking it. But nonetheless, here we go. Shout out to our sponsors today who, without their support, this would not be possible. To Know Before, Wistic, and Ativo Networks, thank you so much for your support. Now it's 9:04 a.m. here on the East Coast of the U.S. And you guys know what that means. It's time for my double espresso for the day to get this party going. Whatever you're drinking, I hope it's your favorite beverage of choice. Cheers and good morning. All right, let's get right into what's going on. Where Apple hurries patches for a Safari bug that's being used in the wild. So Apple patched two bugs impacting its Safari browser WebKit engine that it said are actively being exploited. Apple issued two out-of-band security fixes for its Safari web browser, fixing zero-day vulnerabilities that may have been actively exploited, according to a security bulletin issued by the company yesterday. The bugs affect 6th-generation Apple iPhones, iPads, and iPod Touch models, hardware released between 2013 and 2018. Apple is aware of a report that this issue has been actively exploited. The company wrote, technical details of the two bugs will not be released until an investigation has occurred and patches or releases are available. I kind of have a little problem with that, and I'm going to call out Apple on it. Why not release the technical details of the two bugs now? Why not give more information for practitioners who need this and need this detail right now? It's critical that we get information. This is part of the challenge of why we're always chasing our own tails in security. These people find 0 days, these companies find 0 days, they don't want to release details because as a whole, as a community, we're better off knowing all the technical details because we all hop in, we all pitch in, and we all find more things and we help them get this done quicker. The patch is iOS 12.5.4 and it's available for download. There's a memory corruption bug, CVE 2021-30761, which is one of the patches, and use after free flaw CVE 2021-30762, all of which now need to be updated. So if you are using Safari, if anyone's using Safari or any iPod, iPhones, or iPods, iPhones, iPads within your environment, please, Lord, please get them to upgrade. And we'll do that. So Greg, was I late? Did I miss the espresso? You did, but here it is. And Greg, just for you, buddy, another sip. Top of the Tuesday to you too, James McQuiggan, and cheers, Heather Lane. Good morning, everyone. The bug could be related to another bug that hasn't been patched yet. Just the theory, not an excuse. Yeah, but if that's the case and you're seeing that the other bugs also being exploited in the wild, why not say it already? Or at least issue some workaround, or let people know that there could be another bug in the system. Collectively, we're better off. I get what you're saying. So, and I'm not saying that, but I want more transparency. I don't know, maybe I'm just being over the top with this. There may be other ways to leverage it, Matt. You're absolutely right. Again, the only thing I'm saying is more transparency, more details helps us all, behave and address these challenges better. I want to move to our next story. And this one, folks, you guys are going to absolutely love. Scammers are bypassing Office 365 MFA and BEC accounts, and BEC attacks, in what is Microsoft 365 Defender researchers have disrupted the cloud-based infrastructure used by scammers behind the recent large-scale BEC campaign. The attackers compromised their target mailboxes using phishing and exfiltrated sensitive info and emails, matching forward rules, allowing them to gain access to messages relating to financial transactions. The use of attacker infrastructure hosted in multiple web services allowed the attacker to operate stealthy, characteristic of BEC campaigns. Microsoft 365 Defender research, Stephen Selmar and Microsoft Threat Intel Center security researcher Nick Carr explained the attackers perform discrete activities for different IPs and timeframes, making it harder for researchers to correlate seemingly desperate activities as a single operation. The login info was stalling, and this one you're going to love, James McQuiggan, through phishing. That's right, buddy, through phishing. You can now have a big smile on your face and just sit back in your chair and enjoy that sip of coffee. So not only was it phishing messages that redirected the targets to a landing page closely mimicking the Microsoft sign-in page, asking them to enter their password under a pre-populated username field. There's legacy authentication protocols used to bypass the MFA. Some of the ways they did that was they actually updated the DMS. They used legacy protocols like IMAP and POP3 against Exchange Online. This resulted in an ROPC OAuth flow, which returns an invalid grant in case MFA is enabled, so no MFA notification is sent. The attackers also used the cloud-based infrastructure disrupted by Microsoft to automate operations at scale, including adding the rules, watching and monitoring compromised mailboxes, finding the most valuable victims, and dealing with the forwarded emails. This is, they also set up DNS records that almost matched those of their victims so that their malicious activity would blend into pre-existing email conversations and evade detection. FBI said BEC cost the US $2 billion in losses last year. Surprise, surprise, surprise by James. And Matt Lee says, I just did a video on Evil Jinx. Hey, Matt, would you link it here if you've done it? So people can see it, because you did a video last week, which was brilliant. So, why don't you link it here, buddy, so everyone can see it. And we'll see that Brian King says, you're right, let the bodies hit the floor. Yeah, this is BEC taking over MFA. We always talk about MFA all the time as being another layer of security, but it's MFA plus defense in depth. And if you guys want a good book on that, James will like this, Data Driven Defense by Roger Grimes. If you don't have this book, this is an unbelievable book that'll help you deal with these kinds of threats overall. Make sure to check it out. Shout out to Roger as well for writing what I think is probably one of the most important books for practitioners. Microsoft is tracking a series of attacks that use SEO poisoning to infect targets with remote access Trojans, capable of stealing the victim's sensitive info and backdooring their system. The malware delivered in this campaign is Solar Marker, and there's 3 AKA names to it. I'm not gonna say them. Can we just get one name, please? Solar Marker, please, Solar Marker. Solar Marker runs in memory and is used by attackers to drop other payloads on infected devices. Solar Marker is designed to provide its masters with a backdoor to compromise systems, steal credentials from web browsers. The data it manages to harvest from infected systems is exfiltrated to the command and control server. And it will also gain persistence by adding itself to the startup folder and modifying shortcuts to onto the victim's desktop. In April of this year, eCentire researchers observed threat actors behind SolarMaker flooding search results with over 100,000 web pages claiming to provide free office forms. However, that would instead act as traps for business professionals searching for documents, templates, and much, much more. The switches is to abuse AWS, and strikingly, in the most recent attacks spotted by Microsoft, they have switched to keyword-stuffed documents hosted on AWS and strikingly and are now targeting other sectors, including finance and education. They use thousands of PDF documents stuffed with SEO keywords and links that start a chain of redirection, eventually leading to the malware. And this is where SharePoint, if you're on Microsoft or Google Drive, become really critical part of your business. A lot of times our employees are out searching for documents. It's critical that we enable this within our training of this kind of stuff that's out there. It's critical that our employees and our team members and people within our organization understand that a lot of times they're looking to do something, and really they mean well, they want to do their jobs, but at the end of the day, if it's not a trusted website, if it's not a trusted brand, you're likely falling victim to that. So there's that story as well. And Matt Lee has posted the YouTube link as well for you guys to see his video there. So our final story is a cyber espionage campaign that's blamed on China was more sweeping than previously known. Let me just say surprise. The state-backed hackers exploited a device meant to boost internet security to penetrate the computers of critical US entities. This goes to Pulse Connect Secure. They've been in the news at least once a year for major vulnerabilities, and now we are actually getting the scope of the impact of that vulnerability. According to the AP, the hackers targeted telecom giant Verizon and the country's largest water agencies. They've also targeted the New York City subway system, which was also part of it. Security researchers say dozens of other high-value entities that have not yet been named were also targeted as part of the breach of Pulse Secure, which is used by many companies and governments for secure remote access to their networks. It's unclear what sensitive information, if any, was accessed. Some of the targets said they did not see any evidence of data being stolen. That certainly is common in cyber espionage, and it can take months to determine data loss if it is ever discovered. Avanti, the Utah-based owner of Pulse Connect Secure, declined to comment on which customers were affected. But even if sensitive information wasn't compromised, experts say it is worrisome that the threat actors managed to gain footholds in networks of critical organizations whose secrets could be of interest to China for commercial or national security reasons. I can go through 5 different scenarios of why hacking the New York subway system could be a national security issue here. If you need that, just watch The Dark Knight Rises again, and you'll kind of get it there. The Pulse Secure hack has largely gone unnoticed, simply because ransomware has been there. But this is significant. I've been talking about Pulse Secure being in the news at least once or twice a year with major vulnerabilities. 6 years ago, Chinese hackers stole millions of background check files of the federal government employees from OPM. And last year, the Justice Department charged 2 hackers that it said worked with the Chinese government to target firms developing vaccines for the COVID-19 and stole hundreds of millions of dollars worth of intellectual property and trade secrets from companies all over the world. Here's one thing. Here's one very interesting thing. The G7 talked about Russia, but didn't talk about China when it comes to cyber. Interesting. Just saying. Where's all of that? So Christopher says, right, MTA is nuts, especially here in New York City. That's very true. And Greg has to go to work early today, so see you tomorrow and have a great day. Greg, thank you for tuning in. But this is, again, these are the kind of conversations we need to be having at the executive level within our organizations, bringing this to people's attention. Vetting our cybersecurity vendors is also just as important. Who are we working with? How much money is invested in R&D? What's their patching process? What's their vulnerability management process? How do they do all of that? And what's some of the ways they behave? Because with Pulse Secure here, I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but they've been victims consecutively multiple times over the last 3 or 4 years. And now we're just starting to see the impact of this over a period of time. Biden has made checking China's growth a top priority, but we'll see what happens there. This is a tough task for any president or any leader, but nonetheless, it's time that we get behind and start calling out China for what it really is, which is not a global player, but rather a dictatorship. And Christopher says, let's keep our eye on ICS and SCADA, and that is also 100% true. Christopher, thank you. That's it for our practitioner brief today, folks. I'll be back with more tomorrow, 9 a.m. right here. If you have not signed up for the webinar on Thursday, even if you can't attend, go register. The link is in the show notes. Myself, Carolyn Crandall, and Joseph Salazar will be talking about Active Directory in the cloud and securing Active Directory. You don't want to miss this webinar. A lot of really cool stuff that we're going to talk about and leaving you with some actionable items to take into your business, folks. So enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great rest of the day. And most importantly, folks, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and stay cyber safe. Cheers.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.